Alright, I'm going to talk about the death of Merle Haggard. I'm also going to throw in some other topics, including the Golden State Warriors, the Cleveland Cavaliers, some things that I have previously talked about. It's just all interrelated, so here we go. So the death of Merle Haggard today. He dies on his birthday, which is pretty strange. In the article, he even mentions that he wanted to die on his birthday, which I don't know. I can understand that, I guess, in some weird way. Still kind of interesting. Anyway, moral of the story. He dies on April 6th, which is also 4-6. April 6th in Gematria equals 55 and 136. If you write out the word 46, it equals 46, also 55 and 136. Just like April 6th. April 6th even has a date numerology of 46. 4 plus 6 plus 20 plus 16 equals 46. But I had just made a video talking about a previous video that I had made with Happy Gilmore and earthquakes and how it ties into Prince Charles and the royal family and whatnot. And literally, when I first saw Merle Haggard died today, the first thing I thought of was the guy who played Grizzly Adams. His name was Daniel Haggerty. And I thought, man, that's kind of strange. The words sound a lot alike. Daniel Haggerty, Merle Haggard. Daniel Haggerty in Gematria also equals 136. Like I said, I just mentioned it because they sound a lot alike. First thing I thought of when I thought of Merle Haggard. If you write out the word 136, it equals 107. Just like King Charles, just like King James II, just like the word earthquake. Also, Daniel Haggerty died 2 months and 22 days before Merle Haggard. The word Amtrak equals 222. I've talked about 222 a whole lot with the Golden State Warriors. They picked up Anderson Varejao on 222, February 22nd. After Portland had just beat them, they picked him up. He wears number 18. The next time they played Portland was 18 days later, on March 11th, which was 2 months and 22 days before the NBA Finals. If you read out the word 18 even, it equals 46 and also 73. And there's no doubt that they're connected. This guy's Grizzly Adams. Look at the first line that CNN puts in their article. Merle Haggard, the grizzled country music legend. I mean, it's just ridiculous. They want you to think of the Grizzlies, the Grizzly Bears, whatever. They've had a big old bear theme, even like the movie The Revenant, with the bear attack in the beginning. The Super Bowl was all about the 1985 Chicago Bears. The 85 Bears won Super Bowl 20 with 46 points. Chicago equals 46. They won using the new revolutionary 4-6 defense. So interesting, if you write out the word just Haggard, Haggard equals 46 in Gematria. Just like Chicago, he dies on 4-6 even. In Jewish Gematria, Haggard equals 108, just like Golden State Warriors, just like Villanova, who just won the Final Four championship. He also died of pneumonia. Pneumonia equals 108. Haggard also died on his 79th birthday. Pope Francis, a big topic of this past year, because of his trip to the United States. He came on his 923rd day as Pope, went to the White House at 9:23 on 9:23. A whole lot more with that, but Pope Francis also just turned 79 at the end of 2015. Pope Francis's birthday to the Chester, Philadelphia Amtrak derailment, a span of 108 days. Dan Haggerty, the Grizzly Adams guy, died 79 days before this Philadelphia train wreck. Also, if you write out the word 79, it equals 152. Just like Pennsylvania, just like a whole bunch of other stuff, Easter Sunday. I talked about that in the previous video. Another interesting thing though, so Pope Francis, his birthday's 108 days before this train wreck. Last year, the Philadelphia train wreck that happened on May 12th, was super connected to the NBA Finals. It happened at 9:23 p.m. LeBron James was in the movie Trainwreck, where Amy Schumer's 9 years old in the beginning. The rest of the movie takes place 23 years later. LeBron James in Jewish Gematria even equals 923. Pope Francis equals 122. Trainwreck equals 122. So, I mean, it was super connected to the NBA Finals, so whatever. Pope Francis' birthday to this Trainwreck, this new Trainwreck, 108 days like Golden State Warriors. If you go to the first day of the NBA Finals this year, 168, just like Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, I totally knew Merle Haggard was connected when I looked at his discography. They show all of his albums and whatnot. I noticed that one of them was called Same Time, A Different Train. And I thought, that's pretty weird. We just had the train wreck and whatnot. And then he has an album with a train in it. And it said it was his 9th album. And then I went through all of his other ones. The only other one that had it had the word train in it. My Love Affair with Trains. The 23rd album. So, I mean, it's connected. The train wrecks are connected to Pope Francis. Merle Haggard's only 2 albums with the word train in the title are his 9th album and his 23rd album. The last studio album that he put out was in 1989. Just stands out because the Chester train was train number 89. I talked a lot about the connection to Virginia. Virginia equals 89. Virginia Cavaliers equals 89. King James equals 89. Religion equals 89. Anyway, on my way home from work today, this song was on the radio. Meet Virginia. And I was like, holy crap, that song is by Train. The band called Trade. So, whatever, just looked it up really quick. Meet Virginia equals 69 in Gematria. Just like Cleveland Cavaliers the small way. And this is also the album cover that Meet Virginia is on. Super interesting. I've talked about the royal family, Pope Francis, and how it connects to all the train wrecks and whatnot. And the album cover is like a king. It looks like a king. I also, in regards to the Virginia stuff, I talked about the Virginia coach collapsing. The last biggest East Coast earthquake was in Mineral, Virginia. It was a 5.8, lots of 58-85 around earthquakes, which I mentioned with Happy Gilmore, where he learns to putt on the earthquake golf course, or putt-putt golf. And the building that collapses looks like the Comcast Center in Philadelphia. Anyway, his girlfriend in that movie is Virginia Vinet. We even had the Roanoke shooting that even foreshadowed Philadelphia stuff. Anyway, this girl supposedly died on her first day as becoming a police officer, and she worked for Prince William County Police Department, which just sticks out because I talked about if Queen Elizabeth dies, who Queen Elizabeth is also 89 years old right now until April 21st this year, but if she dies, then Prince Charles will become King Charles, and then if he dies, Prince William will become King William. And it also connects to the English Civil War because King Charles in the English Civil War was assassinated. Then his son King Charles II became king. Then his other son King James II became king. And then he was overthrown by William of Orange. And then the next king was William. So all the Charles line dies or whatever, and then William becomes the king. So just interesting. Also, the guy who supposedly killed this lady, his name Ronald Williams Hamilton, equals 101, just like Philadelphia. You know what? Also, I forgot when I was talking about the 89 stuff, when I was thinking of Queen Elizabeth here. Look at the album right here. The 501 Blues. This was Merle Haggard's last album. Look at it. He's standing on the train tracks even. I mean, how ridiculous is that? And then 501 reminds me a lot of 51. We've seen a ton of 51. Antonin Scalia equals 51. It's tied into the 44. He died on the 44th day. Cleveland Cavaliers, super surrounded with 51. Look at this too. I got on Wikipedia and I just typed in Haggard, thinking I'm going to pull up Merle Haggard. Usually you pull up a whole bunch of stuff, right? There's a whole bunch of people's names, a whole bunch of places. The only place they have listed on here, Haggard, Kansas. Interesting, we just had the Amtrak crash in Kansas, and you know where the Amtrak crash was? In Gray County, Kansas, where Haggard, Kansas is. I mean, seriously, ask yourself, what are the odds of that? Absolutely no way. Haggard, Kansas in gematria even equals 111. Interesting, 111 always equals 666 in English gematria. But I want to point out, Haggard, Kansas, 111. He died 111 days after Pope Francis's 79th birthday. He also died age 79. Gray County, Kansas. Look when it was founded. March 13th, 1881. Pope Francis became the Pope on March 13th, 2013. Interesting, 1881, also the same year that James Garfield was assassinated. He died 79 days after he was shot at a train station. Also, just wanted to take a look at this movie really quick, Haggard the movie, because it says it's by Bam Margera. I just seen a big old deal on Facebook about a new series with him being a huge alcoholic and his life just turned upside down after Ryan Dunn died and blah blah blah. Haggard the movie, I think I even watched it a long time ago. But I mean, just check this out. 411 Productions, the word assassin equals 411. Also, look at Bam Margera, born in 79, from Westchester, Pennsylvania. I mean, it's unbelievable. Bam Margera, too. His real name's Brandon Cole Margera. Brandon Cole Margera. 166. 166th day this year is June 14th, the day I keep talking about over and over. I just erased it, but Bam Margera, 79. Born in 79, his name adds up to 79. Merle Haggard dies age 79. It's connected to Pope Francis, who is 79. Dan Haggerty dies at the age, or 79 days before the Amtrak crash in Chester, Pennsylvania. Bam Margera from Westchester, Pennsylvania. Also, remember Vincent Margera, Don Vito, also died last year in November, right after the Paris attacks. The day after there was the train wreck in France as well, the day after the Paris attacks and whatnot. So, March 15th, or November 15th to today, just wanted to check it out here if I can find it. A span of 143 days. That magic number that I keep talking about, it's the backwards 341. The Kansas train wreck that happened on 14/3. I mean, come on, just give me a break. So anyway, there was also an Amtrak derailment in Vermont last year. It really wasn't, like, a lot of people didn't really talk about it a whole lot. Just it's kind of quick and done or whatever, but I feel like this Amtrak derailment is pretty important as well. It happened 146 days after the Philadelphia train wreck last year. Vermont equals 107, just like King Charles, just like King James II, just like the word earthquake. It was also in Northfield, Vermont, which equals 218, which I'll talk about here as we move on farther. But I talked a lot about 146 in regards to Pope Francis and Obama and Donald Trump and all kinds of stuff. But June 14th can also be written as 14/6, a lot like 146. This year it is Donald Trump's 70th birthday. It's also Pope Francis's 1189th day as Pope. You know, the amount of chapters in the King James Bible. The Vermont train wreck was also on October 5th, a day that leaves 87 days left in the year. Interesting because this year Easter was on the 87th day of the year, and I noticed 87 connects to a ton of events. August 7th, which is 8/7, is the 219th day of the year normally. It also leaves 146 days left in the year. If you go from the Philadelphia train wreck last year to August 7th, it's also a span of 87 days. If you go from the Philadelphia train wreck to Pope Francis's birthday, it's a span of 219 days. Also, if you go to the anniversary, the third anniversary of Pope Francis's being Pope, from August 7th to that, 219 days. 8/7 to the day LeBron shot 9 of 23, a span of 89 days. King James equals 89. Also, Kyrie Irving shot 9 of 23 146 days after LeBron did. Last year, Kyrie Irving shot 9 of 23 146 days before the NBA playoffs, and then he got hurt in Game 1 of the NBA playoffs. Also, I just made a whole video about the 76ers D-League team. I think it was Russ Jackson, or I can't even remember his name right now, but Russ something. And he set the new record for the most points in a game with 65. Philadelphia, the small way, equals 65. Moral of the story, they're called the 87ers. So, no doubt we got that story for a reason. Also, last night when the Warriors lost to the Timberwolves, the announcer said that the Timberwolves hadn't led since the score was 8-7. And then they took the lead in overtime when they scored 107 points, making it 107-106. So just super interesting, once again, connecting to all the things I've been talking about. Another super interesting thing in this game last night, Livingston, number 34, he drove the ball down, whatever. He got fouled, but he made the basket, and he went to the free throw line. And it gave the Golden State Warriors 108 points. Remember, Golden State Warriors equals 108. But he also is number 34, and so he went to the foul line for an and one. Kind of like a 34 and 1. Who knows, could be stretching there, but before the free throw, the score totaled 218 points. He made the free throw, making the score 219. If you write out the word 219, it equals 218 even. Also, the time here, 3:41, reminds me a whole lot of the Chester Amtrak derailment that had 341 passengers. The Kansas Amtrak derailment was on March 14th, 14-3, the mirror of 341. Also interesting that he's number 34. Kansas, the 34th state. I've talked a whole lot about 34 in regards to the American Civil War. The Virginia Cavaliers coach collapsed with 34.1 seconds left. Steph Curry's averaging 34.1 minutes a game this season. Anyway, if you write out back-to-back championships, like this total score here, 219. LeBron James didn't play equals 219. Remember, Kyrie Irving only shoots 9 of 23 when LeBron James doesn't play. He did that on 329. It's also interesting because LeBron James never plays every time, but every time that Kyrie Irving has been 9 of 23, LeBron James didn't play, and they also lost. They lost here December 31st against Milwaukee. Then 10 days later, they lost to Golden State last year, where it was 146 days before the NBA Finals began. And then this year, 329, let's just pull it up really quick. They lost to Houston. Interesting, LeBron James didn't play tonight, and they lost again. So they lost with 123 points, though. Just sticks out because 123 is connected to the 51s. Conspiracy equals 51, and also 123 the big way. Interesting then, so Kyrie Irving, the first time he's 9 of 23 this year, was on March 29th, 146 days after LeBron was 9 of 23. The next game they played Brooklyn just sticks out because I never noticed the 87 until just earlier today, but it was 107-87. The 107 I talked about connecting to Prince Charles and whatnot, and the 87 connected a lot to Pope Francis. So interesting. The next game that they played was on April Fool's Day. They won with a total score of 218 points. Jeff Teague for Atlanta shot 9 of 23. And it's a very rare thing. I've checked every player in the NBA, and it's only happened now with Jeff Teague. It's only happened 9 times this year. Unless it has happened since I made that video a couple weeks ago. There might be some other teams, but interesting that it actually happened again against the Cavs. Anyway, let's move on here. So, what sticks out in that game, the Hawks game on April Fools, the total score was 218. Golden State Warriors win NBA Finals 2016 equals 218. Remember, back-to-back championships equals 219. If you write out 219, it equals 218. But also that same night, the Warriors' home streak was broken. They lost to the Celtics 109 to 106, which totals up to 215. If you add up 215, it equals 197. If you write out Cleveland Cavaliers win NBA Finals 2016, it equals 197. I mean, just what are the odds of that in general? What are the odds that both of them teams would finish with mirrored scores saying that the other team is going to win? If you write out 197, it equals 107, just like King Charles, just like Earthquake. The Cavaliers, are connected to the English Civil War, the Carolina stuff. Cavaliers are followers of King Charles and whatnot. The 197th prime is 1,201 in numerology. You take out the 0, so it would be like 121. The Warriors' streak got broke that night. The streak that lasted 1 year, 2 months, 1 day. Warriors equals 121 in Gematria, just like the word revelation. So the Warriors got stopped at 54 games. They didn't get the 55. 55 doesn't seem to be a good number with the Warriors this year. They lost to the Lakers when they had a record of 55-5. They also lost to the Lakers on the 66th day, which was 26 days before the Boston loss. The Boston loss was 62 days before 6-2 when the NBA Finals begin this year. Also 55 days before the Boston loss is 2-6, February 6th, which also just so happens to be Queen Elizabeth's 64th anniversary. Her coronation is on 6-2. This year will be 63 years. Also want to point out there was an earthquake on this day as well. It was in Christchurch, New Zealand. So, just interesting. We also got the 5.1 earthquake the same day that Antonin Scalia died, the 44th day of the year. Earthquake equals 44 the small way, 107 the big way. And remember, the headlines of Antonin Scalia's death said that it was seismic. Anyway, back to the 55 stuff. Last night, when the T-Wolves beat the Warriors had 55 points at half. It was 55-46. I remember thinking, man, this probably isn't good for the Warriors. The 55 from the Lakers game and whatnot. 55, though, in Gematria equals 108, just like Golden State Warriors. Golden State equals 122. If you write out January 22nd, like the 122, the day that Steve Kerr returned on the 44th game of the season. Anyway, January 22nd equals 257. The 55th prime number is 257. Last year, Steph Curry got his MVP trophy on 5-5. I even talked about the 55th episode of Family Matters with Steve Urkel and whatnot. It's called Making the Team that adds up to 55. Steve's team is the Vanderbilt Muskrats. Muskrats equals 122. He was the red team, though. and they defeated the Warriors. And this show was set in Chicago, so I thought it was all about the Chicago Bulls versus the Golden State Warriors. But when I thought back on it, the Cleveland Cavaliers also wear red uniforms, so who knows if this is still significant, but just interesting. This is based in Chicago. This guy's a Warrior, but actually the Muskrats win. Anyway, the Warriors also lost to the Boston Celtics. Like I said, it was 26 days after losing to the Lakers. The Boston Celtics scored 109 points. The word Los Angeles equals 109. They also got their 44th win, which sticks out a lot. The Golden State Warriors a lot about the 44 stuff this year. If you write out the word 44, though, it equals 54. So interesting. Boston Celtics got 44 wins. They stopped the Warriors at 54 wins. 44 equals 54. The Cavs also got their 54th win that night. They were like dominating the game, then all of a sudden terrible. The Hawks came back and actually took the lead 64-61. Then the Cavs tied it up 64-64. Then eventually went to overtime 96-96. We talked a lot about Cleveland hasn't won a sports championship in 51 years since 1964. Cleveland equals 51. LeBron James equals 51. Cleveland Cavs equals 51. But also, if you write out the word 64, though, it equals 49, just like Warriors, just like Chicago Bulls. If you write out the word 96 that they went to overtime with, it also equals 49, just like Warriors and Chicago Bulls. Stephen Curry also equals 64 in Gematria. April Fools, the day that both of these games were on, equals 51. So it's like, what are they telling you? Are they fooling you with the 51? Or is it just all about the 51? The total score of the Villanova-North Carolina game was even 151. And that was right after Villanova had just won by 44. They beat Oklahoma, who only scored 51 points. Antonin Scalia equals 51. Just have not seen 51 go along with anything really positive this year. Abraham Lincoln also died 151 years ago on April 15th this year. So something to think about. It's 151 is the 51 and 15 years. Valentine's Day equals 151 in Gematria. Anyway, in the UNC Villanova game, that when they interviewed Michael Jordan, Jordan said, "Well, back then I was Mike, and now I'm Michael," after he made the shot or whatever. Just interesting, Mike equals 38 and 20, but he says, "Now I'm Michael." Michael equals 33 and 51. 33, even a number often around sacrifice. So there's been a lot of things connected to the downfall of Chicago, not even with basketball. Like I said in that movie, Allegiant of the Divergent series, the whole point is there's a civil war in Chicago, so they go to try to take back Chicago or whatever. Also, the first thing that Michael Jordan says in the interview with Craig Sager, he just says, "Nice shoes." And it's so weird that he says nice shoes. Nice shoes in Gematria equals 43. When Michael Jordan started talking to him, the score was 43-40. UNC had 43 points. Michael Jordan from UNC. Just crazy. Anyway, the reason that I mentioned the Warriors lost to the Boston Celtics and they also lost to the Los Angeles Lakers is because we've had a lot of 1985 references this year. The Royals won the World Series for the first time since 1985. The college football championship was Alabama won 45-40 over Clemson, a total score of 85. Even the Iowa Hawkeyes this year had an almost identical season to one of their best seasons ever in 1985. Super Bowl 50 was all about the 1985 Bears. Then Villanova wins the college basketball tournament, and it was the first time since 1985. So in 1985, the Los Angeles Lakers beat the Boston Celtics. But it was also a rematch of the previous year. So in 1984, the Celtics had won, and then in 1985 they played again in the NBA Finals, and the Lakers won. So if it's coded back to that, sure to me seems like the Cavs are going to win this year. But, I'm not quite for sure on that. I'm not going to base it all on that right away. But it just seems like a pretty big theme that they're doing. Also interesting, last night, when the Warriors lost to the Timberwolves, the Cavaliers won, and they had 109 points. Los Angeles equals 109. I want to go back and look at all of these scores and see how many times 109 has been in each of the team's games. But didn't have time to do that. Also, the year before them two teams played was the last time that Philadelphia has won a NBA Finals. It was also against the Lakers when Moses Malone played. Talked a lot about Moses Malone and the significance of his death and whatnot. Malone, he's also from Virginia. Also pretty interesting that Clemson is from South Carolina, UNC is from North Carolina, the Carolina Panthers from North Carolina. 3 Carolina teams. Carolinas are named after King Charles I. Cavaliers are followers of King Charles I, who was executed in the English Civil War that ended in the year 51. But then you have Steph Curry is actually from North Carolina as well. His dad even played there, works for the Charlotte Hornets that Michael Jordan owns and whatnot. So it's just crazy. I don't know. Both teams just seem to be super connected. Anyway, the whole point in the beginning with Merle Haggard, Dan Haggerty, Bears symbolism. Last night, when the Warriors lost to the T-Wolves, the Bulls also lost to the Memphis Grizzlies, the Bear theme. And look, the Grizzlies had 108 points. The Bulls had 92 points. If you write out the word 219, the small way equals 92. Golden State Warriors equals 108. And if the Warriors are going to beat the streak or tie the streak, it will be against the Memphis Grizzlies on the last game of the season here. It's on April 13th, which can also be written as 13-4. Just interesting. It's kind of a mixture of the 3-4-1 like the Amtrak wreck. I do think they have a good shot of beating the Bulls record. I could be wrong, but Brother Berg pointed this out to me when I was talking about Happy Gilmore. He says that Happy Gilmore was wearing the Warriors jersey in the very beginning when he was trying out for the team or whatever. Just super interesting. He's wearing the Warriors jersey. Happy Gilmore equals 73 and 145. Chicago, Illinois equals 145. It's also jersey number 18. If you write out 18, it equals 46 and 73. Chicago equals 46. The Warriors are trying to get 73 wins to beat the Bulls. He even wears this Boston Bruins jersey because it's his favorite team or whatever in this movie. Boston Bruins, they showed on the Warriors game last night that they have the best regular season record of a hockey team, just like the Bulls have the best regular season record. And I can't find a clip in the movie where he's number 18, but if you search like Happy Gilmore jersey, the only ones you can find are with the number 18. So I'm assuming somewhere in the movie he's wearing an 18 Boston Bruins jersey. Just interesting, they have the best hockey record, just like the Bulls. Anyway, also tomorrow's game, the Warriors against the Spurs, sticks out a whole lot to me, among other things. But tomorrow, April 7th, is 68 days before Pope Francis's 1189th day and Donald Trump's birthday, the 146. Grizzlies, the team that the Warriors would beat the streak with. Grizzlies equals 59, 68, and 131. 131 connected to championship even. Pope Francis equals 59 and 68. Prince Charles equals 68. Donald John Trump equals 68. Barack Obama 68. I mean, these are some pretty significant men in the world. Pope Francis, Prince Charles, Donald John Trump, Barack Obama. all equals 68 in Gematria. The date, Donald Trump's birthday day, the 146 or whatever, has a date numerology of 56. Tomorrow is 4/7 with a date numerology of 47. It also just so happens to be 56 days before June 14th. April equals 56. Lincoln died at the age of 56 in the year 65. And Washington, D.C., that equals 56. If you write out 68, it equals 146 and 56. April 7th in Gematria equals 68. April 7th, 2016 equals 126, which is interesting because 56 a lot of times is 1 month, 26 days. There's some other connections with 56 and 126 as well. Can't think of them off the top of my head, but I mean, even lots of big events are around the number 56. Paris, France equals 56, ISIS equals 56, Osama bin Laden 56, Adolf Hitler equals 56, Saddam Hussein equals 56. Lots of significant events with the number 6 or 56. And interesting is connected to the 146, and they're all connected there as well. 4/7 also interesting just because it's 47. In the year 47 was when Israel was recognized by a 33 vote on the 333rd day of the year. Philadelphia is 333 years old this year. The NBA season began on the day of Philadelphia's 333rd anniversary, October 27th. Kobe Bryant announced his retirement on the 333rd day of the year, the same day that Israel was recognized. So who knows? I guess we'll see what's up tomorrow, if anything significant happens in regards to that. Also, this game, I'm assuming, is going to be super coded like all the rest. Interesting, I never noticed that the Spurs had 65 wins, just like Philadelphia the small way. But what sticks out is that San Antonio Spurs equals 66. They're going for their 66th win of the season. So I could be completely wrong. I've seen that happen a lot of times where the team that adds up to that wins the amount of games that coincide with their name. Just how the Lakers equals 66, and they beat the Warriors on the 66th day of the year. So, interesting. But I'm going to leave it at that. I've been rambling enough. There's just so much more information I could mention. Andre Iguodala came back 58 days before the NBA Finals. Andre Iguodala equals 58. Festus Ezeli was out for 31 games. The Warriors picked up Anders Varejao 31 days after Steve Kerr came back to replace number 31, Festus Ezeli, which ties into the number 11 as well. The 11th prime is 31. I talked a whole bunch about 11 being a positive number this year. So who knows? Maybe the Warriors are going to finish with 11 losses or something like that. Really don't know. Just throwing it out there. We'll see what happens tomorrow. I still think Golden State Warriors are going to win just from all the Happy Gilmore stuff and the death of Merle Haggard. But whatever. Have a good night.